The stars looked calm that night. A giant alien ship floated quietly above a cold, dead moon near a small blue planet. Earth. Inside the ship, Commander Zelf stood in silence. He stared at the screen in front of him. The planet looked peaceful. Oceans moved slowly. Clouds covered parts of the land. From this distance, Earth looked harmless. But no one spoke. The crew was nervous. "Commander," a young alien officer said, "why are we not attacking? We have destroyed stronger planets before. Why are we just watching this one?" Commander Zelf didn't answer at first. He kept his eyes on the screen. "You are too young to know the truth," he said quietly. "This is not just another planet. This is the one we do not touch." The officer was confused. "But they are weak. No space army. No shields. Just humans." Zelf turned slowly. His voice was cold. "Exactly. Humans. Long ago, before the officer was born, the Empire sent scouts to this planet. It was a simple mission. Observe, study, report. The team never returned. Their last message was strange. It arrived late, broken into pieces. No clear words, just one image. A group of humans, smiling. And then, darkness. After that, more scouts were sent. None came back. The Empire thought Earth had secret weapons. They scanned the planet again and again. No strange tech, no spaceships, no strong signals. Just humans living normal lives. But the fear grew. Years passed. The Council ordered silence. No contact. No approach. Earth was marked. Do not engage. But some still asked why. Why be afraid of a species with no real power? Zelf remembered the answer. He had seen something the young officer didn't know. Many years ago, Zelf was part of a different mission. He was not a commander back then. His ship was close to Earth, hiding in the shadows. They watched a human city. The people below smiled, laughed, and worked. They looked friendly, safe. The team decided to send one small drone, just to get a closer look. The drone flew over the city and saw children playing in a park. It recorded everything. Then something strange happened. One of the children looked up, straight at the drone. She smiled. The drone's camera shook. It lost signal. They sent another drone. Same thing. A boy waved at it. Then the system crashed. Zelf was curious, not afraid, yet. He decided to land quietly in a forest, far from the cities. At night, he stepped out with a small team. They moved slowly, watching everything. It was quiet, too quiet. Then they saw her, a human woman, standing alone in the dark. No fear on her face, just calm. She said nothing. She didn't run. She only looked at them and smiled. The team felt something strange in their minds, a cold shiver. One soldier dropped to the ground, shaking. Another started crying. Zelf could hear a voice in his head, but the woman's lips didn't move. She just stood there. Zelf gave the order to retreat, but it was too late. The team was already breaking down. One screamed, "She's in my mind." Another tried to run but fell, eyes wide open, frozen in fear. Zelf was the only one who made it back to the ship. He never told the full story. Only the Council knew. They hid the truth to protect others from panic. The humans had no weapons, no warships, but they had something else, something that made strong alien minds fall apart. Something inside them, and they didn't even know it. Now, years later, Zelf stood again near Earth. The young officer still looked confused. "But sir, what if it was just a mistake? Just fear?" Zelf nodded slowly. "That's what I thought. Until I saw her eyes. She looked at me, not like prey, not like a victim. She looked at me like a hunter, and she smiled." He turned back to the screen. The planet was still there, quiet, peaceful, but Zelf knew better. "You want to fight humans," he asked. "Then you go first, but don't expect to come back." The officer said nothing more. Behind them, the ship's warning system beeped softly. A message had been received. It was not from any known source. It had only 3 words. "We see you." Zelf's blood ran cold. The ship pulled back slowly from Earth's orbit, and the stars swallowed it in silence. No weapons were fired. No war began. But fear, deep ancient fear, spread through the alien fleet like fire. And far below, on Earth, a little girl looked up at the sky and smiled. Space is full of silence, but sometimes that silence means danger. Deep in the galaxy, the alien empire's control center was full of panic. One by one, their ships had gone missing near the same planet, Earth. Fleet Commander Rovan sat in the dark room, staring at the screen. 10 ships. 10 strong, advanced ships. All gone. No signal. No battle report. No survivors. Just silence. His hands shook. He had led battles across the stars, destroyed powerful enemies. But now, something strange was happening. Rovan opened the last transmission from the most recent fleet. It was short. A shaky voice spoke, entering Earth's orbit. No resistance. Going in for a scan. Then a sharp buzzing sound. Then nothing. No fire. No screams. No crash. Just dead air. He played it again. Same result. He stood up and looked around at his officers. "What do we know?" he asked. A young analyst stepped forward. Her voice was quiet. "Sir, we scanned the area. There's no trace. No debris. It's like the fleet disappeared." Rovan narrowed his eyes. "Nothing disappears. Something happened." In the shadows, an old alien scientist named Vec stepped forward. His eyes were tired. "Commander," he said, "I have studied this planet for 50 years. Earth hides something." "Humans?" Rovan asked. "They have no space army. They barely left their own planet. What threat can they be?" Vec shook his head. "It's not about their machines. It's about them." He tapped on a screen. A human face appeared. A woman, smiling. This was the last image recorded by our drone before it stopped working. Rovan frowned. "She's just smiling. What's so special about that?" Vec paused. "We've seen this smile before. Every time before a ship disappears, a human appears on screen. No weapons, no aggression, just a smile. Then the ship vanishes." The room went quiet. Another officer laughed nervously. "You're saying humans are destroying fleets by smiling?" "No," Vec replied. "I'm saying we don't know how they're doing it. But they are." He walked to the center of the room. "We've found strange energy readings near Earth. Not from any machine. From the humans themselves. Emotional energy. Stronger than any species we've seen." Rovan didn't believe it. "You think feelings can kill a starship?" "I think we're dealing with something we don't understand," Vec said. He pulled up an old secret report, classified for over a century. "This is from the first contact mission. It was erased from public records." The screen showed static. Then a voice came through, broken and weak. "They're not what we thought. They see us. They know." Then silence. "That was the last message," Vec said. "Sent from a scout ship near Earth. The crew was never found." Rovan paced the room. He didn't believe in ghosts or legends, but this planet had taken 10 of his best fleets. That meant something real was happening. "What do you suggest?" he asked. Vec's eyes were cold now. "Don't send more ships. Don't try to fight them. Just watch. Learn. Because if we make them angry, we won't get another chance." Rovan didn't answer. Hours later, alone in his quarters, Rovan opened one last file. It was sent anonymously. No name, no origin. It was a short video, just 6 seconds long. A human child, standing in a field, looking up. The camera zoomed in. The child raised a hand, and pointed directly at the viewer. Then the words appeared on screen. "You're next." Rovan froze. He rewound the clip. The same thing happened, again and again. The child didn't just point. He looked straight into the camera, straight into Rovan's soul. The screen flickered. Rovan shut it down. His hands were sweating. His heartbeat was fast. Back at the lab, Vec looked at a strange report. It showed brainwave patterns from human recordings. Something was wrong. The signals weren't normal. They didn't follow the rules of physics. They looked alive. Suddenly, his screen turned black. A message appeared. "Stop watching." His lab lights flickered. He stood up slowly, heart racing. For the first time in his long life, Vec was afraid. Across the galaxy, the Empire held its breath. No one wanted to speak the truth, but it was clear now. Humans weren't attacking. They weren't running. They were waiting. And every ship that came close simply vanished. Long ago, before humans learned to write or build cities, something powerful came to Earth. It was not a ship. It was not a weapon. It was an idea, left behind by an alien race known only as the Architects. They had traveled across galaxies, shaping life on different planets. Earth was one of their projects. A quiet world. A test. The Architects wanted to see what would happen if they gave a new species something special, not strong bodies or fast ships, but something hidden deep in the mind. They planted something in early humans. A code. A gift. Or maybe a curse. Then they left. Thousands of years passed. Humans evolved. They built fire, tools, homes. They fought wars, loved each other, and dreamed of the stars, all while the code slept inside them, waiting. The alien scientist Vec had spent most of his life studying Earth. After the fleets disappeared, he began looking deeper into human history. That's when he found it, a pattern in their growth. Unlike other species, humans did not follow a straight path. They jumped, fast, unpredictable. 1 century they were riding horses. A few years later, they were building machines that flew. In just one lifetime, they went from radios to artificial intelligence. No other race moved that fast without help. Vec suspected they had been helped, but not by another empire, by something inside themselves. He dug deeper. In a hidden archive, he found ancient alien logs from the time of the Architects. Most of the files were corrupted, but one line was clear. Humanity is the final test. If they succeed, the code will unlock. If they fail, the galaxy is safe. That line changed everything. Vec knew now. Humans were not a mistake. They were a designed experiment. The question was, what were they becoming? To find out, Vec returned to the recordings from Earth. He watched one video over and over. A man in a burning building, carrying a child. His face was calm. Fire surrounded him. The building collapsed, but the man lived. No human medicine could explain how. Another video showed a woman in a car crash. She was dead for 3 minutes. Then her heart started again on its own. Her eyes opened. She said, "I saw a white room. Someone was waiting for me." When asked who, she whispered, "Myself, but different." The final video showed a soldier surrounded by enemies. He was outnumbered, wounded, no way to win. But then his eyes changed. His heartbeat slowed. He moved faster than any recording device could follow. When it ended, all enemies were unconscious. The soldier walked away, calm, as if nothing happened. Vec checked the data. Each time something strange happened, the human brain lit up in a new way. A secret part of the mind turned on, something no alien race had. The code was waking up. Back on Earth, things were changing. Quietly. Children began speaking languages they had never learned. Some people dreamed of places they had never seen, alien worlds. One boy drew symbols no human had ever recorded. When shown to alien experts, they confirmed these were the ancient marks of the Architects. The humans didn't know what they were drawing. It just felt right. Then something even stranger happened. A group of humans disappeared during a storm in the mountains. No trace. Weeks later, they returned, calm, unharmed, but different. Their eyes glowed faintly. Their voices sounded, layered like more than one voice speaking at once. When asked where they had gone, one of them replied, "We went home, but it's not time yet." The world governments hid these stories. But Vec found them all. He knew the truth now. Humans were changing. The experiment had reached the final stage. The code was no longer sleeping. It was learning, growing, remembering. He sent a message to the High Council. Do not send more ships. Earth is not a battlefield. It is a doorway, and we do not know what lies on the other side. The Council ignored him. They believed humans were still weak. But Vec knew better. The code was alive, and soon it would fully awaken. Somewhere on Earth, deep in the forest, a young girl sat alone. She closed her eyes. Symbols danced in her mind. A voice whispered in her ear, not in English, not in any human tongue, but she understood. They are watching you. Show them what we are. The girl opened her eyes. She smiled, and across the stars, in a ship far from Earth, a machine exploded, without warning, without cause. The alien crew screamed. Their ship shut down. One word appeared on every screen. Remember, the experiment had begun its final phase. Across the galaxy, war was coming, or so everyone thought. The alien empire had lost 10 fleets near Earth. No signs of battle. No broken ships, just silence. Fear spread like a virus. But instead of stopping, the Empire prepared for a final strike. They called it Operation Final Flame. They believed humans were hiding a secret weapon, a hidden army, maybe ancient technology from the architects. So the Council approved the largest invasion force in history, over 100 ships. Every type of weapon known to alien science. Nothing like this had ever been sent before, not for any enemy. Fleet Commander Thidler was chosen to lead the attack. He was strong, smart, and fearless, or so they believed. He stood on the bridge of the lead ship, looking at the planet called Earth. It looked small, weak. He had heard the stories, of course. Fleets disappearing, strange smiles, vanishing soldiers. But he didn't believe them. They are only humans, he told his crew. Soft, emotional, slow. We will strike fast. They won't even know what hit them. The countdown began. 10 minutes to attack. Back on Earth, everything seemed normal. People were going to work, watching TV, laughing, fighting, falling in love. They had no idea that death was floating above them. But not all humans were blind. A boy in Africa looked at the sky and whispered, "They're coming." A woman in Japan closed her eyes during meditation and saw fire in the stars. A blind man in Brazil suddenly began to draw strange shapes on the wall, repeating one word over and over. Wait. The human code, the hidden power inside their minds, was waking up everywhere. 5 minutes to attack. Inside the lead alien ship, something strange happened. A shadow passed through the hallway. No alarms went off. No doors opened, but the temperature dropped. Lights flickered. An officer screamed. Something is in the ship. Fowler ordered a scan. Nothing appeared, but the crew felt it. A presence. Not a person. Not a machine. Something ancient. One by one, crew members collapsed. Not dead, just frozen. Eyes open. Minds shut down, like someone had pressed pause on their thoughts. 3 minutes to attack. On Earth, the little girl from before stood in a field, looking up. She raised her hand. No one around her saw it, but far above, on Thaler's ship, the countdown stopped. The system failed. Total shutdown. The other 99 ships also froze. Engines offline, weapons offline, screens turning to static. Then, on every screen, the same image appeared, the human face. Calm. Not angry. Not scared. Just watching. Feller tried to speak, but no sound came out. His thoughts were heavy, like something was inside his head, listening. The face on the screen spoke. It was not a voice, but every alien heard it in their own language. "We are not your enemy." Feller thought, "Who are you?" The voice answered, "We are the mirror. You fear what you don't understand." Suddenly, all the ships began to move, on their own. Engines lit up, but no one controlled them. The entire fleet turned, away from Earth. Back on the planet, humans continued living, unaware that they had just avoided the biggest war in history, without lifting a single weapon. Feller collapsed in his chair. He saw a memory that was not his own. A vision. A galaxy in flames, thousands of years ago. A war so large it broke the stars. He saw the architects fleeing, hiding their last hope in a small blue planet, Earth. He understood now. The humans were not weapons. They were warning signs, living proof of a forgotten past, and if pushed too far, they would unlock something terrible, not just for their enemies, but for everyone. When the fleet returned, the council was silent. No one laughed. No one mocked. Even the proudest generals kept their heads low. They had seen something, felt something, and now they were afraid in a new way. Because the war never happened, but something did. Something bigger than war, bigger than any empire. A voice, a message, a choice, and humans had made it. Far away, in a cave deep beneath the earth, the walls began to glow. Symbols moved across the stone like light through water. The air hummed. The doorway opened, not for aliens, not for machines, but for humans, when they were ready. The real story was just beginning. Deep under the surface of Earth, in a place where no sunlight had ever reached, something ancient began to move. For thousands of years, it had waited, silent, hidden, patient. The doorway. Not a door made of stone or steel, but something different. It was alive. It was part of the Earth, part of the humans, and part of something far older. Few knew of its location. Some humans had seen it in dreams. Others felt pulled toward strange places. Mountains, forests, deserts, with no idea why. But now, after the war that never happened, the doorway was beginning to wake. Miles below, the walls of a cave shifted. Glowing symbols danced across the stone like light on water. The air inside the cavern began to hum softly, almost like it was breathing. Then, a small ripple passed through space, and the doorway opened. On the surface, a woman named Anna was walking through the Andes Mountains. She wasn't a scientist or a soldier, just a school teacher on vacation. But for the last few nights, she had the same dream. A light underground, a voice calling her name, and a feeling that something was waiting. She didn't know why, but she followed the feeling. She walked off the trail, deeper into the forest, then into a rocky path that wasn't on any map. Hours passed. She didn't feel tired. She didn't feel lost. She just felt right. Then she found it. A crack in the earth, just wide enough to slip through. Behind it, darkness. But she wasn't afraid. She stepped inside. The air was warm. The walls were smooth, almost like glass, but alive, pulsing with soft light. As she walked deeper, the tunnel opened into a massive chamber. In the center stood the doorway. It didn't look like much, just a shape, glowing with soft blue light, but it made her heart race. As she approached, the doorway reacted. Symbols appeared in the air. She didn't know the language, but somehow she understood. You are seen. You are chosen. Step forward. She reached out and touched it. Instantly, her mind was filled with images, planets being born, stars exploding, the architects, tall, glowing beings, placing something inside early humans. The code, the gift, or maybe the key. She saw the galaxy through their eyes. So many races, so much fear, and one small planet with something special. Then she saw herself, not as a single person, but as a part of something larger. A network. A thread in a web that stretched across time and space. The vision ended. She fell to her knees, crying without knowing why. Not from pain, but from truth. The doorway had shown her everything. Back in space, alien scanners picked up strange energy readings from Earth. The same signature that had shut down their ships during the invasion. But now, it was stronger, brighter, alive. Commander Rovan, still haunted by the lost fleets, watched the data in silence. "They found it," he whispered. Scientist Vec nodded. "The doorway has opened. The architect's experiment is reaching its final stage." "What does that mean for us?" Rovan asked. Vec didn't answer. He only looked at Earth, glowing softly on the screen. On the planet, more humans began to feel the pull. Artists painted symbols they'd never seen. Children spoke words in languages no one had taught them. People dreamed of stars, machines, and places far away. But they all felt close, like memories. The change had started. Governments tried to hide it. Scientists tried to explain it. But they couldn't stop it. In different parts of the world, people began gathering in silence. No one told them to come. They just knew. As if a signal had gone out, one only humans could hear. And the doorway, deep beneath the ground, was no longer alone. More began to appear. In caves, oceans, deserts, doorways made not of stone or metal, but of light and memory. Some were small, some large, but they all shared one thing. They only opened for humans. The alien empires watched in silence. No one dared send another ship, because they finally understood. This was never a planet to conquer. It was a planet becoming something new. And humanity was no longer just a species. They were a signal, a key, a message written across the stars. And now that message was being read. High above Earth, in deep space, thousands of sensors across alien empires lit up at the same time. A new signal had been detected. Strong, clean, not noise, not random. A message. It came from Earth. But it wasn't sent using any machine. It came from everywhere and nowhere. Satellites, radios, even water and stone. Everything began to vibrate with the same strange rhythm, the same repeating pulse. All alien races stopped and listened. The signal had no voice, no language, but it wasn't silent. It carried meaning, a feeling, a message inside the mind. It said only one thing. We are here. At first, many aliens thought it was just human technology evolving. Some blamed Earth's computers, others said it was some hidden machine. But the truth was something much bigger, because the signal didn't just come from Earth. It came from the humans themselves. Whenever a person felt fear, love, pain, or joy, the signal grew stronger. Whenever someone dreamed or remembered something they'd never been told, the signal reached farther. It was as if all of humanity had become one great transmitter, powered by their thoughts and emotions. Even newborn babies were part of it, even the dying. And those who listened carefully heard more than just a message. They heard a voice inside their own minds, a voice that sounded like themselves, but different, deeper, older. Across the alien worlds, strange things began to happen. Machines powered by thought started acting on their own. Ancient computers, untouched for centuries, lit up with symbols from Earth. Dreaming aliens began to see human faces in their sleep, faces they had never seen before. Some went mad from fear. Others fell to their knees and wept. Because the signal wasn't just a message. It was a reminder. A call from something long forgotten. A force older than the stars. Something the architects had hidden inside the humans, waiting for the right moment to wake. That moment had come. Back on Earth, the doorways continued to glow. People around the world could feel each other now, without speaking. A man in India suddenly knew that a woman in Iceland was sad. A child in Egypt dreamed of the same mountains a boy in Canada had just drawn. They had never met, but they knew each other. And the signal grew stronger. Some humans began to unlock strange abilities. Not magic, not superpowers, but something deeper. They could heal wounds with touch, speak without words, feel the truth in someone's heart. And most strange of all, they could reach out with their thoughts and move small things like pebbles, water drops, or even sparks of electricity. At first, these changes were rare. Then they became common. The governments couldn't hide it anymore. The world was changing, not because of war, not because of machines, but because of them, the humans. Meanwhile, the Alien High Council held an emergency meeting. The leaders of 5 powerful races gathered in silence. The signal played quietly in the background, heard in their minds, but never spoken aloud. "What is it?" one asked. "It's not technology," another said. "It's evolution." "No," said the oldest among them. "It is something else, something older. This is the voice of the architects." They all looked at him. "You mean the creators?" He nodded. "Yes, and they did not leave weapons behind. They left witnesses." The others fell silent, because they finally understood. Humans weren't just the final experiment. They were the final message. A living record of what the architects had learned. A memory that could grow, speak, feel, and change. A signal that could not be destroyed, only awakened. And now, it was awake. Some alien leaders wanted to destroy Earth before it was too late, but others were too afraid to try, because they remembered what happened to the fleets. They remembered the war that never happened, and they had seen the message in their dreams. We are here, not to conquer, not to rule, but to remind the galaxy of what had been forgotten, of what still could be, of what it meant to be more than flesh and bone, to be alive in ways no machine or empire could ever understand. And so, for the first time in history, the alien empires did something no one expected. They stepped back. They listened. And they waited. On Earth, the humans continued to change. Some slowly, some faster, but all together. Because now, they were not just one species. They were one signal. And it was still rising. The signal had spread, not just across Earth, not just across the stars. It reached deep into the forgotten parts of the galaxy. Ancient satellites powered on for the first time in millions of years. Long-dead planets glowed for a moment before going quiet again. Even black holes, silent and cold, hummed faintly with the rhythm of the signal. All from Earth, all from humans. The alien races had stopped watching with fear. Now, they watched with awe, because the humans were changing. Their bodies were still the same. 2 arms, 2 legs, 1 heart, but their minds had become something new. Open, linked, alive. People could now speak without words, feel each other's thoughts, heal pain, share memories as easily as telling a story. But the biggest change came when a young boy in Nepal walked into one of the glowing doorways. His name was Irin, only 10 years old. He had no special training, no famous family, just a kind heart and a head full of questions. He had dreamed of the stars every night since he was born. That morning, he told his parents, "The doorway is calling me." They tried to stop him, but they saw it in his eyes. He had already gone, even if his feet were still there. He walked up the mountain alone. When he stepped into the doorway, something new happened. The sky above Earth changed. For 1 second, every cloud froze. The wind stopped. Even the animals went still. Then a beam of soft white light shot into space. It was not hot. It didn't burn. But it reached farther than anything before. Across the stars, the alien races stood in silence. And the message arrived. Not in sound, not in words, but in memory. Every race saw a vision, a story, a truth. They saw the beginning of the architects, the first beings to ask, why? They saw the birth of life, not just as accident, but as purpose. They saw their own histories, their own fears, and how they had all turned away from what really mattered. And finally, they saw Earth, a small, quiet world where something impossible had happened. A species had grown not through war or machines or control, but through pain, through love, through dreams. The humans had no empire, no great fleet, but they had each other. They had become something the galaxy had not seen in a long, long time. Connected, the boy, Erin, stepped out of the doorway. He looked the same, but different. Not older, not glowing, just calm. And when he spoke, it was not just his voice. It was the voice of all humans. One message from billions of hearts. We remember. The signal faded. The sky returned to normal. But everything had changed. The alien leaders met again. This time, not to plan war, but to ask a question they had never asked before. What can we learn from them? Earth was no longer a target. It had become something else, a beacon. Not because of weapons, not because of power, but because of what it meant to be human. To feel deeply, to dream wildly, to suffer and still choose kindness, to fall and still rise again. The humans didn't ask for followers. They didn't offer answers. They only lived, and in doing so, they reminded the galaxy of something it had forgotten. Hope. Over time, the doorways stayed open, not just for humans, but for any being of any world who was ready to feel, ready to change. The path was not easy, but it was real, and it began on Earth, where one species, thought weak and simple, had carried the greatest message of all. Not in ships, not in weapons, but in themselves. A message that echoed through stars and minds alike. We are the memory. We are the light. We are the one species aliens refuse to fight. And with that, the last message was sent, not to end a story, but to begin something greater, together.